Hello, everybody. It is 11 a.m. on November the 9th, and in 10 days I will be leaving for Michigan. I wanted to do a video on this article I found on a Substack that I found particularly interesting because not only does it make amazing points, but it also gives away my position on why I didn't vote yesterday, just like this gentleman Matt Bevens. I don't fucking know. I don't care. But apparently he often votes Democrat or left of that. Not me. I've never voted. I mean, seriously, I've never voted in my entire fucking life. So there's that. But yeah, I read this and it was interesting, and I wanted to share it with you because I have some of my own comments to make on this article. So it starts off with Joe Biden has made his pitch for why to vote for his side. Apparently, it's because the other side encourages political violence and doesn't accept results of elections. Hypocritical. Democracy is on the ballot, the president told us a few days ago in what was billed a major national address. The New York Times headlined it thus. Yeah, fuck the New York Times. They're terrible. Like, I know it's the 9th now and that election day is over, but like at the same time, I just had to make this video. They headlined it, Biden warns that big lie Republicans impair American democracy. God, this is so hypocritical. I don't even, I can't, I would do a Sleepy Joe voice, but no, I can't. There's a standard today there, candidates running for every level, you can see it. Such garbage. I have to just, we are indeed in a path to chaos. Each of our national political parties, both Democrat and Republican Party, will continue to wallow in feverish conspiracy theories about the election getting stolen, even as each tries to steal it rather than convince anyone of anything. Well, that's a bit of a generalization, but the general point is very true. Although I would have to say the Democrats are way more prone to doing this than the Republicans because the Republicans are a bunch of fucking cowards that sit around doing nothing while the Democrats do everything they can to win. Like, good grief. And yeah, of course, there's going to be the fringe idiots in both parties that actually do this shit. Each will here, as you can see, the election's close. Now that's true. That's very true. But yeah, this is sadly true. At a time of rising political violence, if things don't go their way, each will encourage its angry and more unhinged constituents to go postal. I don't know about that one, buddy. Like, yeah, January 6th was terrible, but at the same time, like, nowhere near as bad as what happened in 2020 for the majority of the summer. Let's see, an entire summer worth of idiots going around and burning buildings down and hitting and attacking others and all this other crap that happened that caused millions in property damage during a so-called global pandemic that you had to stay inside for and wear your mask for. And yeah, interesting. Compare that to like a couple hundred Trump supporters going into the fucking Capitol building, just waltzing around taking pictures. I don't think that. Nah, that's not the same thing. We, but yeah, it's just both sides are really bad at times. Just 2 years ago, heading into the Jesus 2 years, fucking Christ, heading into the Trump Biden election of 2020, the Democrats were sounding the alarm that if Trump were to lose the vote, he might cling to power through violence. Oh, really? Would he? He didn't, though. He really didn't, as the person says here. It's worth remembering, though. It's remembering that hyperventilation about Jan 6 and the big lie aside, Trump did leave office. Wasn't pretty. Very little is when Trump is involved, but he left and pursued the matter further in the courts and with the public. Yeah. Even as the Democrats moaned in 2020 that Trump and his Republicans might not concede if they lost the presidential election, they were loudly declaring their own intention not to concede if Biden's Democrats lost. Yeah, yeah, this is exactly the hypocrisy I'm talking about. They were loudly declaring, I read that Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances. Said, fuck you. Ah, I hate Clinton. God, what a bitch. Under any circumstances, Clinton said this in August 2020, 3 months before the vote, and at the end of a summer of writing that, in the wake of his death, writing that had, writing that had killed many innocent people and left cities in flames. Yeah. The anti-policing rioting was downplayed by the Democrats and loyal media, such as the January 6, 2021 Capitol Hill riots were downplayed by the Republican and loyal media. Yeah, pretty much. I wouldn't call it a riot, but yeah, pretty much. Because for leaders on each side, violence is fine as long as it's directed correctly. Yeah, pretty much. So it's an outrage when Democrat Paul Pelosi sees his skull fractured by an assailant, but when Republican Senator Ron Paul has 6 ribs fractured by an assailant, that's just a good time. Oh god, I remember that shit. I remember that garbage. Oh my god. I really don't know how this happened, but when I was 16, I had my first boyfriend. He was a total lefty, and oh my god, it was horrible. Like, it was genuinely one of the most deranged people I've ever talked to. Like, oh my god, and even today, whenever I check his fucking Reddit, just see maybe if he's become less unhinged. Not stop being a leftist, but just less unhinged than he was back then. I am sorely disappointed when I see that he's still posting the same bad shit gobbledygook. God, how can people be so okay with other people being hurt? Clinton's under no circumstances defiance expanded on a television address to the Democrat DNC a week prior, which he warned Trump would try and steal or sneak his way to a re-election. Hmm, that's yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I definitely remember that. Echoed similar comments made by candidate Biden himself that his opponent would try to indirectly steal the election. Then, in September, the Washington Post and other media reported on a tabletop exercise aimed at predicting how events might unfold after the November 2020 elections. This hit some headliner participants from our political elite class and was given a front page play across the national media. Is this going to touch on the Time article? Because that was a fucking holy shit. That was an atrocity of an article. What's the worst thing that could happen to our country during the presidential election? Asked a Georgetown law professor who co founded the exercise and continued. Okay, so this is from this dude. This is a quote, and this quote is fucking scary. Like, War Games, most accomplished people in general, and then the landslide was for Joe Biden, resulted in relatively ordinary or orderly transfer of power. Every other scenario like that involves street level violence and political crisis. Mm-hmm. Oh god, I remember saying this exact fucking thing back then too. Like just talking to my friends on Discord saying that they are literally going to do the exact same thing if Trump loses. If Trump wins, I mean. If he wins, they're going to do the exact same thing they're fucking telling us that Trump's going to do. It's so hypocritical, but at the same time, that's politics for you nowadays. Politics nowadays is just a fucking shit ton of hypocrisy. That's right. It was a stated bipartisan consensus that if Trump won the election, the Democrats would take to the streets with violence. They would launch us into a political crisis, their own version of Jan 6th. Democrats would, to borrow from President Biden's indignant speech this week, not commit to accepting the results of the election that they're running in and would instead choose the path of chaos in America. Wait, the Democrats would have election deniers without a shred of real evidence? They have been. They have been since 2016. Oh, it was Russian collusion. No, wait. People that question the election are evil and they should be, they're undemocratic, they should be shamed. And of course, now it's back to Russian collusion because of Ukraine bullshit. As if Ukraine is such a prosperous country full of amazing freedom of speech and all this other garbage that they say. Now, of course, we have New York Times again because, of course, all the garbage is from New York Times. You can fucking read this if you could pause it. I'm not reading anything from that garbage site. The organizers were shocked to hear this, even though Hillary Clinton had publicly said 2 weeks earlier that Biden should under no circumstances concede. Exactly. The participants in this war game were 2 years ago. In this war game 2 years ago, were all anti-Trump Democrats and Republicans, and at one level, they were just rolling around in the same malicious fantasy they'd indulged in since 2016. Exactly. It was a supposedly dispassionate exercise in trying to see how things might go wrong. So, as with violence, the participants made a point of gleefully relaying to the press that when they LARPed out the narrow Biden win scenario, Trump was ultimately escorted out by the Secret Service, but only after pardoning himself and his family and burning incriminating documents. Yeah, of course. But at one level, the entire wargame exercise was a message to the nation. The orange haired one is leaving. It's our turn. If you get in our way, we're going to burn down your cities and towns. Yeah, exactly. I fucking remember that. God, 2020 was fucking terrible. And everything that I predicted in 2021, like my very first video 2021, has all basically come true. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, not exactly how I said it would, but basically how I said it was, and that scares me that I'm able to predict that easily. In the war game, Podesta has Biden alleged voter suppression, whatever that means. While the states of California, Oregon, and Washington literally threatened to succeed rather than accept a second Trump term. Yeah, that was fucking ridiculous. That was just full fledged retardation on a level I haven't seen since. Like, oh my god. Congress deadlocked on the matter, and as New York Times summed it up, at that point in the scenario, the nation stopped looking for media, for cues, and waited to see what the military would do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now here we are, 2 years later, going into another November election, and the Democrats again demand our vote. They have no plan other than endless war in Ukraine. Yeah, that's endless war that, let me remind you, will almost certainly lead to nuclear war, which that is going to kill the planet, kill humanity. I'm sorry, there's no fucking way that we will survive if that happens. The Republicans will sub out Ukraine and sub in Taiwan. The healthcare system is collapsing. He apparently was writing this as a doctor. Okay. Inflation is climbing, we're flirting aimlessly with nuclear war, exactly, and the Democrats offer exactly zero solutions to this or any other problem other than to cry, democracy is on the ballot. Is it though? No. No, it's not. It's not. Our country isn't even a full democracy. It's a constitutional, not a democracy. Sure, we have some democratic policies in place, but it's not a democracy. Final thought. Oh boy. Even as Democrats and oil media act like only a mentally ill person could question whether the Trump election was fair, they are completely silent on a blockbuster from those days. Oh boy. This is yeah. Oh boy. When Joe Biden was vice president, his son Hunter had flown on Air Force Two with him, striking business deals around the world, in Ukraine, in China. In fact, Trump's first impeachment was related to this. Mm-hmm. He asked Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to look into Hunter Biden's doings. Mm-hmm. Exactly. God. In October 2020, a month before the vote, the New York Times broke the news that, thanks to emails obtained from Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop, they could confirm that Hunter was brokering meetings between his Ukrainian oil company employees and his father. In response, Twitter disabled that newspaper's accounts, and mainstream media ran with a public letter from top intelligence people claiming the New York Post story to be was based on Russia disinformation. Sure. Welcome to politics nowadays, everybody. Welcome. So even then, we knew this was a lie, and that the Hunter Biden laptop story, as absurd and bizarre as it was real, since neither Biden campaign nor Hunter would deny it. It's since been confirmed true. Yeah, fucking ridiculous. So a legitimate story, a major corruption allegation involving a presidential candidate, one that was already at the center of a presidential impeachment trial, was suppressed, lied about, and never reported in the weeks before the vote. Had that not happened in such a close race, Trump would likely have been reelected, and Democrats would have likely responded with a violent rejection of the result. Exactly. This entire paragraph is genuinely fucking scary. Because that's what fucking happened. Democrats, and what's worse, the supposedly free, unprofessional journalists and mainstream media, never address this. Yet they beat their breasts and claim that we have to vote for them tomorrow to save democracy. I'm sorry. Not souls. Yeah, me neither. This article basically gives my exact reason for not voting yesterday. Fuck it. Fuck that shit. Chris Hedges says correctly that we should have walked out in the Democratic Party and mounted a serious opposition while we still had a chance. And he's right, but I'll just have to wait for another time. Exactly. Hmm. Alexander Solzhenitsyn in the fucking. Yep. Hmm. That's a great quote. The imagination and the spiritual strength of Shakespeare's evildoers stopped short at a dozen corpses because they had no ideology. Ideology, that is what gives evil doing its long sought justification and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. Yep. Man, I really need to read more Solzhenitsyn. I really do. I probably said it completely wrong, but yeah. Basically, the purpose of this video, was to like read this article, obviously provide some commentary, which I hopefully did, and just explain that I basically feel the exact same way towards voting. There's basically no reason to at this point. Sure, you'll make your voice heard and whatnot, but is that really that important? I mean, by not voting, you're also making your voice heard, like I did, because I don't fucking trust the system we have in place currently. There's no reliable way to make sure people aren't fucking lying about this shit. And it's genuinely horrendous. I really do believe in our country and the ideals it's rested upon since the fucking birth of the nation. But at the same time, with the way our country is going, I really can't see any other way out of this other than fucking revolution. I'm not calling for it. I'm just saying that, like, it's going to happen one way or another. We're already fucking speeding towards a civil war. God, let's hope that doesn't happen. But, I mean, we're already speeding towards it. We're already basically in a Cold War within the US. So, if things keep going down this path, we won't only have to deal with fucking Russia and China as our major enemies, we'll also have to deal with our fucking neighbors. Which we don't need that, and we don't need that fucking shit. And yes, I'm even talking about the deranged fucking idiots who genuinely believe all the lies the leftists are telling. No one is worthy of violence. No one. I don't care what they did. No one is worthy of your fucking fist in their face. But apparently, I'm just apparently saying that is a radical opinion nowadays. You don't want to punch someone in the face because they said something you didn't like? Well, that means you're fucking Nazi or whatever. Guy. I'm telling you, I am a huge history buff, and I have looked at the Roman Empire extensively. Like, I spent half a fucking year looking into their history and looking into their culture and all that shit for this one novel I was gonna write. I was gonna like write my own version of Emperor Nero's life and see like kind of try and come up with some way that he could have ended up the way he did, which really isn't that hard to see when you look at his fucking life. But essentially, I am seeing a lot of the same symptoms of terminal illness that the Roman Empire did at the end of its reign, at the end of its massive foothold in the world. Just absolute overconfidence in themselves. And just the complete degeneration of societal coherency and the destruction of truth to suit political gain. And my God, it's really fucking scary because the US has been around for like over 200 years at this point. Well, not over, but I think we're like at 250 or something, but like the fact that we are this far into it, which relatively the US is very fucking young. Very young. But it's fucking scary, you know? It's scary. Like, the fact that the Romans lasted, for 1,000 years is truly a testament to how good they were at keeping, like, everything in order. The fact that America is only something 200 something years old and we're already almost in the death throes of a fucking country and I am seeing symptoms all over the damn place really doesn't bode well. I'm just gonna say it. I am, yeah, not good. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video or whatever. I'll see ya.